Hello, this is Crystal and this is Books for Ever After. And today as you can tell by the title of this video, we are doing my September TBR. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so recently I did a mini book haul. It was a one last hurrah as my friend has moved to Virginia. One of my friends moved to Virginia, and so we won't see her again for quite a few months at a time. And so she also shares my love of books, and so will tolerate me talking about them. So hi, Em. I went and bought a few books that left over from that I've been wanting to read. I went to a Barnes & Noble and picked up some books. So majority of those books, all except for one, I wanted to immediately pick up and read this month. So the first one of that is Pestilence by Lola. Golassa, I think I'm right. This is the Four Horsemen series, and I think it goes in the order of, the biblical aspect of it. When the first horseman comes, that kind of order, and the first one that comes is Pestilence. This one was really good. It was kind of, as I said in my previous video, with books that are some, a lot of people die in this book. It's just kind of, it's the apocalypse, the end of the world, and it's a romance, but there's some dark stuff happening. So yeah, I definitely would consider it dark romance. Fantasy romance. It was good. I will probably pick up the other three as well. I just don't know my favorite. But yeah, so that's what I already read this book this month. One of those ones I immediately wanted to pick up and read. But yeah, I'll talk about more on that in my monthly wrap up. But it was really good. It's Pestilence. I can never remember characters' names. I don't know why, but Sarah is the main character, and she tries to kill him. And instead of him killing her, he kidnaps her. And then it's their, love story as they are basically traveling the world, as he is, trying to do his part in ending people and spreading the disease, which they call the fever, I think is what they call it. This is, I forget which booktuber this is. I think she leads the book club with Peace Love Books. It's the book club, the fantasy, not historical hellions, that's the historical romance one. The Ravished by Romance book club. I know this is one of her favorite series. For me personally, right now as it sits, I would say it's a 4-star. But I'll go more about that. This is the TBR, Crystal. This is not the wrap up. Okay, you're crap together. But yeah, here we go. So yeah, what I'm currently reading is this one, A Promise of Fire by Amanda Boucher. I went and picked up all three of these at Barnes & Noble because I know I'm going to love them. I remember watching an author interview that Peace Love Books was doing with a few other booktubers, and I'm like, yeah, I know she's more considered historical romance, because I love historical romance as well, but this is her fantasy romance series, and I'm like, I'm definitely gonna love this stuff. So it's so yeah, definitely gonna read all these this month because I know I'm gonna love it. But yeah, basically this follows the main character, female character. She's known what they call the Kingmaker. Her name is Kat. The general type guy, the second in command, or the warlord, they're newly empowered. So his sister is the ruler, the newly empowered, and they do not have, their land does not have magic, but I want to say the Holy Boy, I forget how to pronounce it right, I'm probably wrong, and the Mogoi, so the Mogoi magic people, that magic. It has a lot of Greek mythology in it as well, so they talk about the Greek gods, and that's why you can see here the Trident, because I don't know, but I've only read that much, so I don't know, there's more to it. But the God, what's his name? God of the Sea. Prometheus? Poseidon? Wow, Crystal. Wow. I swear, I start recording and I forget everything. Like, I almost forget my name. I swear, guys, I'll get better at this. I hope. We'll just stay tuned and just see me lose my madness because I can't recall anything. Of course, it's also recording this at night because I can only record when my children are asleep, because otherwise it'd be utter mayhem and loudness. But you do what you gotta do, right? Okay. So anyway, I'm looking forward to reading that. So yeah. So first time reading Mandy Boucher, by the way, and I think I actually originally, just FYI, I got the first one, and then the third one, I think I got the original, like the mass maker paperback at like a library sale. But for me, for some reason, like, this is not my favorite format to read fantasy or sci-fi. For me, there's just something that's innately, for me, it has to be historical romance that I read in a mass paperback. So, but I still have this copy, which is actually really great. In great format, but I just might keep it just because I have a feeling if I love a book enough, I want every book in each edition and format that I can, just kind of like I get my Jane Eyre books. So neither here nor there, I guess. Okay. And then I also got at the Barnes & Noble was From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is one of those that is kind of like follows the whole ACOTAR vibes that, I know this one's with vampires, but the whole fantasy romance, but with, a lot of plot, but also some really good steam. So I'm hoping to do, I am predicting that this is going to be a 5-star read, let's just say that. Totally my vibes. It's kind of like being brought up on YA fantasy, Twilight, oh gosh, the Fallen series. I know other people, they grew up with the Hush Hush as well. But it's just like, it's just the whole vibe. It like feels like it's like the grown up version of those, and I'm here for it. So looking forward to that. No, absolutely nothing about the plot. I think the main character is Poppy. Female character. So yeah, I have absolutely no idea. I'm sure I've heard it, but all I know it's really good. So I bought it. I look forward to reading it. And I have a feeling I'll probably have to buy the second one for October. So I'll definitely be reading this month. And then next up, I have my notebook here, or notepad. Okay, so I think I want to read, I think in total it's 15 books. So intermission, 15 books is my intent, plus my drawing that we'll do at the end. So I'm really not doing a good job explaining this in the introduction, but it is what it is, I guess. It's just me and my lonesome self, so maybe 3 other people watching this, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so to continue the books that I read in August, in my previous video that I just loaded, we have Legendary, which is book 2 in the Caraval series. Young adult fantasy, very whimsical kind of. The first one was very scavenger hunty. This one, I know it focuses on her sister, and I think basically what happens, just to go back into the game, is the scavenger hunt again. This time as a participant and not the so-called end game prize, to discover, to obtain. So we'll see it. She might be falling in love with the Grandmaster person in this one, maybe? I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm guessing by the blurb that I read. But who knows? But it looks like she's like blackmailed by somebody that assisted her in the first one, to help her sister, to get this all set up, kind of a situation. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. It's a little thicker than the first one, and um, I have to say that the one that I did like about what I did, I forgot to mention it in my wrap up, but what I really loved about this was the author, Stephanie Gerber, put like a playlist, like her Spotify playlist on the back on the end, and then what it does is like definitely the Caraval magic vibes. That's what I really digged about it. Was the music. It was a whole vibe. The music, the book, it's put you in a mood in which as a music growing up with, vocal singing and part of choir and, so-called show choir and musical theater and plays in high school and in college and such. This definitely, I think, it's definitely appreciated. So, yeah, looking forward to reading that one as well. The Winner's Crime is the second into the Winner's Curse series by Marie Rukowski. The first one was okay. I still, it was a 4-star. And usually, typically with a trilogy, there's always like a second book syndrome, and sometimes that means the second book is actually better. So we'll see how it goes. Very highly political, with I think so far the romance seems to be the subplot. My books, I tend to like with its half and half in fantasy, where it's plot and romance, kind of very similar to the Akatar series, that kind of a vibe. With the last theme is also good too, so always appreciated. But yeah, so definitely we're doing a little more YA fantasy with a romance subplot. And then my other one was I picked this up as part of my Mother's Day gift back in May, and I just got done reading it, but this one is the Unhoneymooners. It's my first book that I read by Christina Lauren. It's a duo authors that kind of do a lot of the rom-coms. These are basically, I want to say enemies lovers, because they're not really enemies, they're just like dislike to love kind of a situation. Her sister is getting married to his brother, and he has a aversion to buffets, and she's allergic to seafood. So at her sister's wedding, everyone gets horribly sick by some sort of fish parasite sickness thing. I don't know what it's called. But they, end up having to take their honeymoon because it was like non-refundable. Her and her sisters are twins, so she's able to kind of push herself off as her sister. And the male was just, they had it as the last name. So yeah, so it's them with them. That was I don't know if you can hear that, but that was like the weirdest, like a angelic choir all of a sudden, but I think it was one of the pipes or something. It was like the weirdest noise. That was interesting. But anyway, so it's them kind of discovering, there's the biggest thing. It has it's like a miscommunication trope, because they dislike each other, and the reason why they dislike each other was just a stupid misunderstanding on her part. But yeah, it was good. I think I put it as like a 3 or 4-star, but yeah, I'll talk about that more as I wrap up. Just repeat of everything I just said now. But yeah, it's good. So yeah, that was part of my September TBR. So that's my problem when I do my TBRs late. It's, too late in the month. It is what it is. I also, these are left over from last month. I want to finish this up. This is the third and final. This is Hero of the Fall. This is by Alwyn Hamilton. This is another young adult young adult fantasy with a very romantic plot. This is focused on Djinn magic. Definitely has Wild West vibes, has Assassin's Creed vibe. I mean, look at that cover. I'm like, does that not give you Assassin's Creed vibes? I mean, right. Her magic, I think, is sand. Under Fire. I can't remember. It's been a while. But this is the final series. There's a lot of like political intrigue, you know, taking over rebellion, that kind of a thing. With the Dijin's getting involved. Basically, it's kind of like not the series, but like Percy Jackson almost a little bit, where they're gods and they kind of, in this aspect, they are they mate with, you know, a human, and their children are halflings, so they're half Dijin. And this one half Dijin, half human, so they have some Dijin-like qualities. So that's kind of like what's following there. But yeah, this cover looks great. So yeah. And then I want to finish up this reread of this. This is the fourth and final in the Wallflower series. You guys came here for the entertainment, right? Anyway, so yeah, the Wallflower series. This is the fourth and final Wallflower. This is Daisy Bowman, which was Lillian's, who was the main character in the second book. This is her. Her romance. I don't remember. Yeah, they kind of give us. So basically, the Wallflowers get a pact, and they try to help each other get husbands, or help them make lists and such like that, husbands, so they can get married. And find a good match. Well, I can't. It's just hard. Adjectives, acronyms, whatever, you know, whatever the grammar word is. Speaking is hard apparently today. So yeah, this is between Daisy and Matthew. I don't actually recall. I know I read this as I mentioned before, 10 years ago. So it's kind of interesting that me trying to remember what the blurbs are, but I'm sure I'll have more on that. Have to say, Lisa Kleypas is still one of my favorite authors. She's the GOAT, the GOAT, what are the kids saying these days? I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, she's one of my ones that I remember love reading all of her books before. So if you can understand anything I just said, more power to you, because I can't even understand myself right now. So that was so interesting. Then I also, some ebooks that I also want to get on my read this month is The Doctor by Nicholas Sloan. I actually just read that. This one is a ex-boyfriend's dad romance. He's a doctor, you know, full taboo, that kind of very forbidden taboo romance. Okay, it's like slash kind of taboo slash forbidden. Very similar to Birthday Girl vibes. I think Birthday Girl was my initiation into the ex-boyfriend dad's trope. So yeah, basically just smut with very little plot. So definitely, I think Nikki Sloan is one of I think I have read books by her before that was good. So, or I have heard of her before. I can't recall. I'll let you guys know later. I probably won't let you guys know later. I'll probably forget. And the next one is Lola and the no, I lost my place. Sorry, let me go back. Lola and the Millionaires, Part 1. This is a Omegaverse, which someone please teach me your ways. I'm new. I think this is my first Omegaverse one, where they're not like actual werewolves, but it's basically kind of the world building is in a modern setting, but everyone is an alpha, beta, or omega kind of a thing. So like that designation. So this one is like a reverse harem. I just started this one. This is part of the Smut Club book club. I believe it's Okay Miss K and that Tall Book Girl. I may be wrong. I hope it's the Smut Club one. I will correct myself if I'm wrong. I will tag those mentioned below. And then I want to read. I should be getting. I have approximately 2-week wait on this one, but this is the part 2, the graphic audio. No, I think I read this one. I I just finished it. I'm telling you, I can't remember anything anymore. What am I? Why am I doing this? I don't know. Okay, so A Court of Those Roses Part 2. So I got that off the library, off my Libby app, the graphic audio. Love that version. So I think this made me love audiobooks. So if I can just find the right, I think my problem is I just need to find the right kind of audiobooks. So I'm always been I'm seeing a trend. I've always been a very strict, like, physical books only. And then then I got a Kindle this year. But before I started reading ebooks on the Kindle app on my phone. So then I like slowly merged, like I can get books on my phone and just read it wherever I'm at without having to remember to bring a book. Sign me up. So I used to be very snobbish about that. I'm like, no, it's the physical books for me all the way. So now it's ebooks. And I was like, I can't imagine ever really reading an audiobook. Or listening to an audiobook, whatever the term is. It's still reading. Bite me. It's still reading. So yeah, now I'm learning to like audiobooks, and I think it's just about learning and progressing. Part of this progressing as a reader and just finding the right kind of audiobooks that I like. So I definitely like the audiobook, and maybe just sometimes it might be the narrators also that you just kind of, I've learned either the publisher or the narrators. I think my part that kind of gets me is when the narrator is trying to do the voices of all the characters. It kind of throws me off, but I think that's why I like why I like graphic audio. So it kind of puts you really, like you're really there. So I don't know what I'm doing with my hand, but you know, like you're there. And I also was only going to have, this has been on my Kindle Unlimited TBR for a while, and now because of September, and it's giving me the fall vibes, you know, with the Halloween kind of season, which is probably why I'm reading a lot of fantasy, to be honest, this month, because it gets me in that mood. I don't know. I think let me know if that's also your kind of thing, is the fall. It's certain times of the year, it's like, okay, it's fall, fantasy. Just, you know, fall, winter, fantasy vibes, that kind of thing, or spooky vibes, obviously for Halloween. Or, so reading a lot of vampire romances, you know, paranormal romances, you know, with witches and vampires and werewolves and that kind of thing. Like in spring, it's like, ooh, I want light romance, so rom-com or historical romance. So it's kind of interesting, the evolution of a reader, and myself being a fantasy, romance, and just in general all things romance as well, and you know, fantasy. It's just interesting how the seasons make your mood and affect your reading as well for your mood. You know, not only the weather, but just the activities that you do. So yeah, that's just my rambling styles. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So one I want to, it's my first book. So getting back to my point, the one that I want to read by Juliet Cross, it was on my Kindle Unlimited, is Wolf Gone Wild. It's kind of like a very rom-com-y book with some steam. So far, I did read the first one already. I'll let you know that in my wrap-up what I thought of it. It seems like it's following a group of sisters as the main character and their romances. I think the second one, or just characters in that world. So the second one is Don't Hex and Drive by Juliet Cross. I don't know. I think it's actually in relation to like a vampire and a friend. There is a trip that's mentioned for that one of the sisters uses like the vampire leader to get his help to get a book, and I think this second one is off of a witch and a character psychic. It's off book. You don't ever see them or interact with them. I think that's like their romance that was involved in getting that book, I think. So yeah. So this is part of the Stay a Spell series. So I think there's like, how many books is there? 1, 2, 3. There's a novella, 4, 5, 6. So there is 4 out and a novella out. But there is, looks like the 4 just got released, I believe. It's Always Practice Safe Hex. Resting Witchface and Grim and Bear is hasn't been released yet, but out. According to Goodreads, it's going to be the 5th one. It's expected to be published in October 31st, so on Halloween, which is great marketing. I love that. It's obvious, but it's just genius. It just works. So sorry, can appreciate some good marketing. So yeah, but yeah, so that's my TBR 15 books, and I will now do a drawing of my mug here so that I can read some of my physical TBR, which it seems like with my initiative for my September TBR, I've already kind of gotten that, as we saw, but I'm just going to challenge myself even more and see if I can't do that. FYI, this does not include any of my historical romances. This just includes fantasy, classic, my rom-com, which is up here, kind of romances that I haven't read. They're going to be first in the series, so if I pick it, I'm generally going to, typically what I do is I will intentionally make the second one or third one as part of my next TBR, either that month or all in one month. So yeah, which is a very interesting case to being I'm a Gemini, so the dual personality is I battle a strict TBR, but at the same time being a mood reader within that. So that's always the very interesting fights with myself that I have. So, it is what it is. So, so I am going to take this mug. This only includes books that I have not read yet. I do have quite a bit on here that I read. I did not want to put it in here. So, okay. And who knows, this actually fits. Okay, so it's Book of Night by Holly Black. So give me one paused second. I'll see you in literally 1 second. And I'll go get that and grab that. Okay, and I'm back. So this is Book of Night by Holly Black. This was my Book of the Month edition that I got, I think, for my birthday credit for being a year-long member or whatever, that kind of thing. So I actually don't do Book of the Month anymore. I didn't see it was worth it, but really glad that I was able to get this when this released. I think back in May. I did read Cool Prince back in, June of May, so that's her YA fantasy / romance, a lot of political intrigue, seeing a trend here. Read very young YA, wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't that I didn't like the author's writing. It was more of, I just don't know if it was for me. Or I'm sure younger Crystal in high school would have loved it and would have been like die hard, but adult 30-something Crystal does not. So I liked it, so I did those 3 stars, but it was still entertaining and liked it. So that's what it is. So this actually could fit the October theme very well, which is going to be really interesting. I want to say it's been compared to like Ninth House, which is also, I think Ninth House is probably going to be in my October one TBR. So this is kind of going to fit those dark academia vibes, I believe. So I don't know anything what this is about. So let me just skim the blurb real quick and give you a quick summary. Okay, so it just deals with magicians. That sounds interesting. Kind of sounds like Carball a little bit. So it sounds like there's a lot of suspense, like murder and lies. I'm just gathering it up right here, just so you know. So she's up against a cast of doppelgangers, mercurial billionaires. I can't. It's also part of the Invisalign. I'm guessing it's a new try today, so it also might be why. Okay. You're still here. Kudos to you. Glomus and the people she loves best in the world, all trying to steal a secret that will give them vast and terrible power. Sounds intriguing. Don't know if it has any spice or steam in it, or romance, but I'm here for it and I will read it. So I'm hoping it's good. I don't know if it's like new adult or adult. I'm sure I don't remember, but yeah. Definitely love the cover. I hate the book of the month ones that drive me nuts, which is part of the reason why I don't do book of the month more. I just like, I might as well just buy it myself so I have the cover that I want, you know? Like, is it worth it? But anyway, yeah, so that would be, I guess, 16 books on my TBR. Majority are physical, so I'm really proud of myself for that being my initiative. I also, the additional audiobook, so I had the part 2, The Court in Thorns and Roses. I have approximately a 2-week wait on The Court in Mississippi Fury part 1, so I'm really hoping to read that one. And hopefully the part 2 of that one, but we'll see. We'll see how the month goes and what I can get from my library's Libby app. But yeah, looking forward to that for the graphic audio versions of those. This has got to be the most books that I'm trying to read in 1 month. I typically only read maybe 10 to 12 books at that. At most, like 11 books seems to be the number that I usually hit. So already for 15 being my initiative and now 16. It's very interesting. But I have read already, within talking about my September TBR, I've already read about 6 books and been almost done with, I would say midway done with one, my ebook. So we'll see. It's very interesting. It's very interesting for Crystal. I just read a lot more in the fall, apparently. I mean, fall cozy vibes. But yeah. So yeah, that's my September TBR. Let me know in the comments if you read any of these books, or let me know what book you're hoping to get to this month. And yeah, go ahead and leave a, and if you were finished going through all the way through this, go ahead and leave a, let me say, is there like a leaf emoji? Like, do like a fall vibes. Let's do that. Like a leaf emoji. I'm pretty sure there's probably like a fall leaf emoji in there. Like fall leaves. Go ahead and put leaf emoji in the comments as well. Alright, so there you have it. So if you made it this far, kudos. I know I've said that probably before. I'm losing my mind. Alright, so well, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.